Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's April 9th, 2021. Remembrance to VIMY Ridge and remembrance to His Royal Highness Prince Philip, whether you agree or disagree. But this episode I call Rage, Rage, and Snap. Canadian politics going full board stupidity. That and more come up the show. Stick around.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
Mama always said I had a face for radio.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's April 9th, 2021, episode 114 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Listener discretion is advised. I do swear a lot, so I use big, nasty words. So if you're afraid of my words, this podcast is not for you. Anyway, thanks again to all the listeners and viewers that came out last night to my live stream with Benita Pedersen, all fired up for freedom, host and freedom rallier, and all-around great human being. I had a great talk with her. And thank you, my listeners and fans out there, for some of the great comments and feedback I have received recently in light of my live streams and what I'm doing here on the podcast. So as I said, rage, rage, and snap. Canadians are slowly creeping to a point where, well, we're just not going to be too nice anymore. And as I mentioned before, April 9th also marks the day of the Battle of VIMY Ridge, where Canada kicked ass and took names and beat the Germans in that small little area of France, and stood its ground and impressed the British moguls as we see it. Anyhow, as I carry on, yes, bad news today. Prince Philip has passed on, but as I mentioned in my podcast before, my condolences. Needless to say, though, I'm not a big fan of the monarchy. As much as I used to be, I respect traditions, I respect certain ideas, but as a Canadian patriot, as a believer in this country, and as respect I do have for my British friends and history, it's not really a big deal to me. Sorry if I offended my listeners out there, but that's just the way I am. So, anyway, carrying on again with more Rage, Rage, and Snap. Yes, of course, we're seeing all these churches now being closed. Grace Life Church in Edmonton being fenced off by police and AHS authorities, plus the odd private security out there, making sure no one comes in or out. Now, regardless of how anyone feels about this pandemic or not, you don't close off churches. Okay, I'm not a Christian. I never claimed to be. I was baptized as a child, but I chose my own pathway. But I'm not going to condemn anybody who's Christian. I'm not going to condemn anybody who's Muslim or Jewish. I don't care what faith you have or what you believe in. Go with it. That, as far as I'm concerned, is a constitutional right in this country, as it should be. It should be protected, and places of worship should be just protected as much as your private home. Now, I've had a few people weigh in on my profile on Facebook there recently, telling me that, well, you don't need to go to church. You can pray at home and all this. Saying, okay, sure. But freedom of worship, I think, should be just as sacred as freedom of speech and assembly. But we've seen many examples the past few years in regards to how freedom of speech is being sequestered, freedom of assembly is being sequestered, and the constant mob mentality of guilt by association is being promoted as if it's the new gospel. So, my question is that regardless of how you personally feel about any religion, and regardless of the historical implications of it or not, as far as I'm concerned, people still have the right to go and pray, to eat, to drink, to dance, to breathe, to be fucking merry. Okay? Now, the examples that I have been seeing in Alberta are shameful. The examples I've been seeing from Ontario are shameful. Quebec, shameful. Rebel News did some interesting stories on liberty marches they've had in La Belle Province, and my heart goes out to everybody who is marching for the right to be in this country. And it doesn't matter what color or creed or what identity or what spectrum you're part of. Oh, I'm part of this spectrum, therefore I have the right to flourish. And as well as you do. Everyone has the right to flourish and thrive as far as I'm concerned. And it seems like every time we turn around, another new lockdown, another month of lockdowns, right? And you're seeing more videos coming online of people being told what they can buy and not buy again. What's essential, what's not essential. Well, I got news for you, AHS, and every other health service and every other government office out there. Everybody's essential. Everybody. I don't fucking care anymore about this frickin' pandemic. Especially we have a 98.5 or 99.2 survival rate. Okay? Like the title says, rage, rage, snap. I'm raging and I'm fucking snapping. And so are a lot of other Canadians.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Yeah, coming back to the Crusty Canuck podcast. Rage, rage, snap. Yes, it's getting to a point where people are getting backed into corners. And I predicted this not too long ago, too, ladies and gentlemen. Everywhere you go, more masks, wash your hands, mind your distance. Every time you turn on the television, MSM, oh my goodness, wash your hands, wear your mask, wear 2 masks, 3 masks, 4 masks. Don't touch your private parts. Play with the glory hole. Don't touch this. No, you can't play professional sports. You can't play minor sports. You can watch professional sports because they have different mandates and guidelines. And yet there's one NHL team that's feeling the sting of the whole called pandemic. Again, half the team is tested positive. Vancouver Canucks, I believe. So what's going on, right? There was a poll, or not a poll, there was an article I read in the Vancouver Sun there today talking about how half Canadians, or just under half of the Canadians they've polled in the greater Vancouver area, say that they're in favor of more lockdowns, or they like the lockdowns and they want more restrictions. Okay, here's a question for you. Why would anyone take a poll and use that as currency? Okay, who in their right mind wants to encourage fucking lockdowns? Honestly, okay, has the past year not woken up people to things? And I'm not saying woke as in the trendy fucking SJW woke. I mean, hasn't the past year awakened a lot of people to this farce they call safety? I can understand safety wearing a hard hat on a job, wearing goggles in a lab or in a machine shop, wearing safety boots when you're on the job in a factory, having a safety vest on when you're working with traffic or working with areas that you can't be seen. Okay. Wearing a life jacket when you're working in a fishing boat, or any kind of boat for that matter, okay? But all this narrative, they're talking about safety and safety, or we're doing this for your safety. They still find the time to go and tell the public what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and they can still hop in a helicopter and go travel, like Miss Bonnie Henry. Right? They can still hop in a boat and go travel, like Prime Minister Trudeau. Right? And they can still find the time to hop in a car and go see family and friends this past Easter weekend, like some of our Alberta officials and other provincial officials for that matter too, and federal officials alike. Now, I said in last night's live stream that we're not seeing enough politicians really getting out there and doing something. Yes, they promote the opposition. Yes, they're standing by their candidates in a certain way when it comes to talking the talk, but they're not walking the fucking walk here. So, my proposition is, ladies and gentlemen, let's get out and start walking some more and showing them how it's done, okay? I'm not inciting riots. I'm not inciting violence here, but enough is enough. Now, we've all seen on mainstream media people in a certain restaurant in BC telling these health officials to get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. Pastor Arthur Pulaski telling the authorities in his church to get out, get out, get out. Now, I'm not trying to make fun of his accent. I know he's Polish, right? But just add some humor to it. It reminds me of that scene in Amityville Horror where Rod Steiger's priest character was blessing the house. All those flies came in and started scaring him and harassing him. And then the closet door opened up and you heard that voice of, get out, right? Kind of like that. But I'm not saying he's evil. I'm saying he's a well-adjusted Canadian. And he's standing up for what's right and rightfully so, okay? The last time I stepped into a church, I think I went to a wedding. And that was the last time I was actually in a church, ladies and gentlemen. But like I said, I'm not condemning it. I'm not condemning anybody who's Christian. I'm not condemning anybody who's Muslim, who's Jewish. I don't care if you worship lemons, touch monkeys, do a naked dance in front of the moonlight. I could care less. I don't even care if you're a Scientologist of all fucking face. But all this herding and all this corralling, and then all of a sudden spending a small fortune on building a fence to prevent people from going to a place of worship, to me is just pretty fucking totalitarian. And yet we're slowly starting to rage. Now, I'm not speaking for the majority of Canadians that I have talked to in regards to this, but from my personal experience, from the things I've witnessed, to the things I've seen, the people I've worked with, and to those fallen brothers and sisters that aren't with us today. And yes, today is a Red Friday too, ladies and gentlemen. So keep that in mind. Remembering everyone deployed, and especially remembering everyone who didn't come back. And, of course, the anniversary of VIMY Ridge and the passing of His Royal Highness Prince Philip. I think one of these days are going to be very historical in Canadian history. There are a lot of people out there who are not happy. They're pissed off, discontented, unconnected. They don't feel the love. They don't feel the hope. They don't see the fucking hope. And yet, here are these so-called leaders telling us how to dictate the line and how to walk the line again, while they can walk whatever fucking line they want to. So there's a lot of walking contradictions out there, and it doesn't matter what party you believe in, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter if you believe in the Conservative, the Liberal, NDP, the Green. To my American listeners, it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. We're seeing a lot of talking and not enough walking.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, here's a viable solution. Like I say, get out and harass these politicians. And I'm not saying go knock on their door and throw your panties at them and go, woo. I'm saying give them a call, send them emails, write them letters. Or stand outside their constituency's office, holding up the signs, saying enough is enough. No more. We need action, not talk. We need action. We don't need any more word salads, okay? So whether you're in the Legislative Assembly or Provincial Parliament or Federal Parliament, get off your ass and start fucking doing something, okay? Get off your duffs. Stop worrying about your fucking paychecks and your fucking ties and your skirts and how much you're getting fucking paid this year. And start paying it back. Start paying it fucking forward. Okay? That's how I was raised as a fucking child. How to do things for people. Do the best of your fucking ability with what you got. And always open yourself to suggestion. And learn how to handle criticism. And learn how to be resilient. Now, my life hasn't been fucking perfect. I've made mistakes in my life, and I'm not bragging about those mistakes. I've learned from those fucking mistakes. And I've been lucky enough to have some great mentors in my life that have stood along with me to show me how to do things properly and how to take a hit, how to give a hit too. And it's time that we start hitting back, preferably. Okay? The proverbial fucking smack back. The simple thing like, get out, get out, get out, get out. Non-compliance. It can be done peacefully, okay, without causing violence. The last thing I want to see is violence. But the more and more I turn around, the more and more I turn on the television or read anything online or even actually open up a regular fucking newspaper, I'm seeing nothing but letdown after letdown. Look at the opioid crisis we have in this province alone compared to other provinces. Look at the depression that everyone's going through. Businesses being closed. No, you can't go to church. No, you can't do this. No, you got to wear a mask. No, you can't go to school. But we can sit in national television and go about our business, make the big fucking butts in the name of the Canadian taxpayer. And now they're still hinting of the election, which, you know, I think is well overdue. That's just my opinion, though, ladies and gentlemen. That is just my fucking opinion. Anyway, here's a word from my sponsors.
In October of 2015, Lindsay Robbins, like many of her fellow Canadians, was struggling with the turmoil of mental illness. The ups and downs of what she was going through was shaping her realities, and she longed for structure. As luck would have it, that structure presented itself to her in the form of gardening. And through gardening, Lindsay had an awakening that led her to create Produce for Heroes. Lindsay realized that our veterans were going through their own mental struggles, and through her own experience, she realized the power of community. By desiring to help the way that she had been helped, she has created a program that provides relief to veterans. Her food program, which aims to provide veterans and their families relief from the stresses of food insecurity and help alleviate the cost of living for those that have sacrificed so much for their country. Whether it's through directly contacting Producer Heroes or through a friend's referral, all veterans and their families living in Canada are welcome. By shining a light on the struggle of veterans and their families, Lindsay is hoping to get her fellow Canadians to hop on board and support Produce for Heroes and our great veterans. If you or a veteran you know needs help, ProduceForHeroes.com is a great place to start.
This is Brian Boucher, the new CEO of Canuck Gold Corp. We have gold at 99% purity with discounts ranging from $100 up to $200 off the ounce. This is the right place to buy, from 2-gram cards to 400-ounce bricks. We have any quantity of gold you are looking for. We also sell by the ton, not like your ex-wife. Visit us today at canudgold.com, C-A-N-U-N-D gold.com.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.
Yes, it's time we start smacking around these so-called leaders and know-it-alls, too. Now, I actually received a comment from a fan of mine in regards to calling these people leaders, and he says, maybe you should stop calling them leaders. And I think he's right, ladies and gentlemen, because what are they leading us into? Prosperity? You know, democracy? Thriving? What kind of thriving have these politicians provided for us thus far? Okay, let's take a look. Let's scrutinize this to its fullest. Once the pandemic hit, okay, here's the CERB and CEBA payments to help people and small businesses get along, and yet they've also proven that roughly 22 million or more was given to people that didn't really need the CERB or the CEBA. Okay, there's also individuals that have claimed that we can't travel anywhere in the name of safety, and yet they've gone to Ireland, Hawaii, you know, the United States, looking after their private assets in other countries, what have you, all in the name of, you know, progress or political leadership, right? Now, let's look what's going on right now in the federal politic as we speak. There's still more scrutiny and investigation in the We Charity, right? It's also making big news in the United States, too, in some California stations. Pierre Poilievre did a little video on that, too, and I'll post that. But like I've said, we're seeing a lot of these leaders not lifting a finger to do much, okay? Yeah, we see their online presence. We see them talking the good points for some of us that are concerned. And then we're still seeing the half-assed phony polls, i.e. what I mentioned about the Vancouver Sun. And I'll leave that link in my description too, ladies and gentlemen. But we're not seeing the actual action. Now, a guy like myself, what can I do? Well, yeah, I can go out and protest. I can wave the flag. I can speak at events, right? I would love to speak at events, right? But I can't just afford to hop in my truck and just go at a moment's notice. It's money. It's time. A lot of money and time that I don't have. I have the time, but I don't have the money. You see what I'm saying? It's ironic. And there's a lot of people in my same boat, too, that have lost their job, that can't find meaningful work, and they can't just hop in their truck and go to whatever rally and scream to the fucking heavens in the name of this total unfairness. And it is unfairness. And it's not just unfair to a group of people. It's unfair to everybody. So I'm getting sick and tired of this marginalized issue they keep throwing in our faces, and how climate change is hurting people of this and hurting people of that, when the idea of the climate is supposed to affect everybody, not just one group, right? So you can take that fallacy and stick it where the sun don't fucking shine, okay? The way things are going in this country right now, it's hurting everybody, okay? And I've heard speculation from some fans and from some critics in regards to, well, we have to tax the rich even more. Well, the rich find other ways to get rich too, so that's null and void. It's a matter of letting people be people and do their fucking thing. Open up the stores, provincial, federal governments. Let people carry on. Yes, okay, fine. Wear a mask. Don't wear a mask. Stop instilling fear in people, okay? Let businesses thrive so people have a purpose to go to work, okay? And what gets me too is, how come there's no federal leaders speaking out against the closure of these institutions? i.e. the schools, i.e. the churches, okay? Are all the mosques being closed too? Are all the synagogues being closed too? Other places of worship being closed and shut down by provincial health authorities and police authorities alike? If someone knows, please let me know. You know where to find me.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Now we're at the part of the episode, ladies and gentlemen, where I'm going to award the Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit.
The Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit.
After due consideration and thinking about the past 24 hours, I came across a little tidbit there in MSN. And I'm not going to go into great detail about this individual. We've all seen her face and faces of her family all over the place, and such a big stink because their show is ending. So basically, today's episode's winner of the Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit goes to none other than, wait for it, the Kardashians.
The Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit.
Well done, Kardashians, not the Star Trek Kardashians, the Kardashians. Yes, for the better part of 20 years, we've had to watch their garbage TV show, worrying about their hair, makeup, their butts, their butt implants, their lip implants, their breast implants, the trials and tribulations of being born rich, and making a small fortune off a sex tape brought to you by your parents. So this has been
the Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit.
Well-deserved, Kardashians. Anyway, carrying on. More of this rage, and snap. What's going to happen? What are our predictions for the future for this? Yes, I've said numerous times, keep your chin up and all this good stuff, and let's fight the good fight. And still, let's maintain that. Okay? It doesn't matter if you're Christian, doesn't matter if you're Muslim, doesn't matter if you're Jewish, doesn't matter if you're atheist. We're supposed to be in this together as a country. However, our so-called know-it-alls and politicians that are supposed to be working for us wants us again to work for them in this time of crisis. You know, cue the waterworks, right? And what kind of resolution have they come up with? What kind of solution have they come up with? No, just keep staying indoors, keep wearing gloves, keep wearing masks, and report your local, deviant as soon as possible, right? I have a question for some of those police officers out there, if you might be listening to this, and especially those police officers out there that are listening to this and you feel what you're doing is right when you hand someone a ticket for not social distancing, or when you take part in closing down a place of worship or any place for that matter. Where's your ethics? Okay? Where is your moral fiber? Where is your moral code? Okay? Now, as a previous member of the military, I know we were allowed to question unlawful commands. Say, for example, we're winning a firefight, we take out a trench, and then let's say the platoon 2IC, either the warrant officer or the platoon commander says, okay, I want you to take these men prisoner. Okay, you do it. In the theater of warfare, that's allowed. Let's say we take the trench, win the firefight, capture the enemy, interrogate them, and let's say the platoon warrant or the platoon lieutenant says, okay, I want you to cut out their eyeballs and slit their throats. There's a question of ethics that we can question. Now, what gets me with some of these police officers, and I'm not putting all in the same category. I know some police officers in my life, and they're great fucking human beings. And they wouldn't come here and do anything like that to me or my wife or my loved ones or anybody I know. But when I look down in Calgary and parts of Edmonton and other parts of the country, it makes you think. You know, I know you got a job to do, but while you're sitting there worrying about how many people aren't wearing masks or there's too many people conglomerated at a protest, what kind of crimes are you solving by doing that? And it's the same thing for the bylaw officers out there too, and some of the security people I used to work with. Where's your fucking ethics, ladies and gentlemen? Where are they? That could be you out there protesting for your right to do something, or protesting a friend of yours or a family member that has a small business, right? Where's your ethics in that? Okay. So let's say you close up more churches and fence them all off. So you spend taxpayer dollars on creating a fence and a barrier to prevent taxpayers from doing their constitutional right. Think about that. And not only is there a handful of police officers on scene, there's a so-called handful of AHS experts and private security companies too, getting paid probably by the province to do said thing too. Right? And what gets me is that some of the opposition to Mr. Kenney, of course, Motley Notley and her infinite fucking commie wisdom, right, is encouraging more lockdowns too. So, Mr. Kenney, you're a disappointment, sir, because of your encouragement of this and failure to stand in and represent constituents that have actually voted for you. And it doesn't matter if they're Christian or not. Okay? And that's for every other premier in this country, too, that is complying to this fear, that is complying to these lockdowns, that are encouraging people what is essential, what is not essential. I will say this again. Now, brace yourself. Pay attention. We are all essential. Period.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Now, please, Mr. Politicians and know-it-alls alike, please weigh in. I'll wait. That's what I thought. Not that I was expecting anyone to call in, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have that rig set up yet, but needless to say, I think you catch my point. But sorry for yelling there, but I try to make a valid point on how essential we all are, okay? There are people out there struggling, so let's do what we can to help those who are struggling. And I'm not saying give up your assets or dump your savings account, because we've all felt that sting of our savings going down and down and down and down. The past 6 months has been a hard thing for my wife and myself. She's working. I get a pension, okay? But trying to make things work is tough on us. And we have people in our lives that are working just as hard and trying to find good, meaningful work, that have lost certain assets, who have lost certain items because they had to sell them. Okay? And people out there that are unemployed and struggling, don't give up, okay? And if any of my soldier friends are out there listening right now too, if you want to talk to somebody, please don't hesitate to give me a shout. And I'll also leave an 800 number in my description so you can call, so you can get a point of view out there and reach out and talk to somebody. And regardless of what the federal government is doing right now, or what they plan to do, or whether they're going to call an election or not, yes, like I said, I'm going to run under the VCP banner. So all my listeners out there from the Crowfoot Battle River area, please pay attention. I'll probably be hitting the street soon enough, if I can. Well, finances permit. Like I said, things are tight for me too. So I can't just go fill up my truck and go my merry way and drive all over this part of the province without having to spend an extra few bucks I've tucked away, but needless to say. But I know in my adverts I asked for donations, so please, ladies and gentlemen, consider donating if you can. I'd like to make this a full-time commitment too. With your assistance, it will help a lot, And please consider sharing this program all around too, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, everywhere else, or whatever social media platform that is not going to censor common sense. I have about 8,000 and change now on my YouTube page. I'd like to reach 10,000 subscribers. So if you can, please share this around and subscribe. Help a fella out. Change the algorithm around so people get other points of view. Help us independent folk out too. And if you get a chance, please check out Adam Daniel Mazay's work on his Hidden Gem podcast, Frank P. Vaughan, and Fred Stockman. You can find his podcast on Anchor FM. He's also creating a new platform called Archer News. So check that out when you can too, and it's up and running. And starting this Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, on the 11th of April, I'll be taking over some of the Hidden Gem duties from Mr. Mazay, and it'll be called The Fastball. It'll be the same format as Mr. Mazay's Hidden Gem. It'll be myself and Mr. Mazay, as well as other panel guests, and we'll sit and discuss weekly and political and social affairs with utmost scrutiny and humor, dialogue, and some subtle respect. So please tune into that. Stay tuned to my community page and my Facebook page for updates on that too. This Sunday, 4 p.m., I'll be streaming it live via YouTube and Facebook. So please catch that and ask us anything you would like to know in regards to our points of view in politics, social spectrums, education, anything that tickles your brain. Just keep it clean, folks. We're not going to answer any vulgarity, and we don't tolerate racial BS either, too. So keep those comments to yourself, okay? Anyway, carrying on again with more of the whole rage and snap. It's coming. I think there is a snap coming. And as much as I would hate to see violence, ladies and gentlemen, I think someone's going to make a mistake. Something bad's going to go boom. Not that I want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. But we are being herded into a corner. We are being herded like cattle. We are being herded like animals. And the so-called experts who come on television and tell us what to do are probably getting their jollies off it. You know? Absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? And if they do call an election, the speculators who keep saying that the Trudeaus will get in again and everything will be hunky-dory because there's going to be UBI and handouts and presents and toys and breads and circuses. Oh my, what a great time we're going to have, ladies and gentlemen.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Join the Liberal Party of Canada. We'll tell you what to think, what to do, how to wipe, how to pick your nose, all in the name of safety.
And that's basically the theme, ladies and gentlemen, all in the name of safety. We're doing this for you. I'm not just pinpointing the Liberal Party and pinpointing the Conservatives, the Greens, NDPs alike, everyone who's made these projections and how they're going to try to make this country better. Well, here's an idea to make this country better. I would like to see all leaders of major national parties step down. I would personally like to see a 30% pay cut of their salaries. I would like to see the position of Governor General abolished, or kept for the sake of tradition, but without all the pay and perks. A meager salary at best. I would like to see more of these politicians actually stand up for their constituents rather than their fucking parties and start standing up for the people that they're supposed to represent as the intent of the parliamentary model was supposed to be. Okay? But then what do I know? I'm just some crusty Canuck, right? Yeah. I'm just some cranky old veteran, And according to some of these kids that have weighed in on my profile lately and sent me their lovely little yaps about equality and fairness and diversity and in climate change, God, there was a few clowns the other day who said to me, climate change is a result of colonialism. Oh, okay. Can you back that up? How so? Was the British Empire, French Empire, and Spanish empires thinking about that back in the 1700s when they conquered and divided at will? Oh, that's right. We got to hang on to those old fucking glory days to justify your fucking incompetence.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, Crusty Canuck, episode 114, Rage, and Snap. All I can say is the solutions is this. Put these people to account. Put them on the spot. Harass them. Phone calls, letters, actual handwritten letters, emails, phone calls, emails, letters. Stand out at the constituency office and protest. Enough is enough. Or to the old term that Benita mentioned last night in my live stream. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. We can do this peacefully, ladies and gentlemen. But there are some people that are falling through the cracks. And I'm not talking about a group of individuals or a gender or a specific race. People in general are falling through the cracks because of this past year. And enough is enough. Enough is enough, ladies and gentlemen. Time to fight back. Time to stand up for what's right. Because like the song goes, we stand on guard for thee. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 9th of April, 2021. Once again, my condolences to His Royal Highness, Prince Philip. I don't really believe the monarchy is an asset anymore, but I'm just showing my respect. Trying to be a professional and decent human being. And let's remember VIMY Ridge, April 9th, 1917. A group of Canadians kicked ass and took names, not just for the name of the British Empire, but for Canada too. Because they thought they were doing what was right. Well, in the name of peace, democracy, security, and freedom. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we stand on guard for thee. Look after your friends and loved ones. Do what you can to help each other out in these trying times. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to believe, man. And lady, you just got to believe. It's there. We can find it. We can find it together. And remember, too, humanity merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you Sunday on The Fastball. Take care.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck Podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues, and life. Here's Crusty. This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck Podcast. Stay sane, and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck Podcast.